Am I going into TaleSpire? Should I just
Yes.
ask? Okay, cool.
Good evening, ladies, gentlemen, and all variations thereof, and welcome to TaleSpire Shadows of Sorcery one-shot session. So today is not the usual session, in that today we are joined by a singular member of our cast, an Edit Ed.
Who is barely awake?
Oh, trust me, I'm barely awake as well. But that's just me. Anyway.
What a start.
What a start. Anyway. Welcome everyone to Shadows of Sorcery one-shot session. So, as I explained in the last session when Ed wasn't here, whenever someone misses a session now, I will be pulling them aside at some point during the month and going, here's a one-shot side quest type thing with some XP for the time that you missed in the last session. And these sessions will take between an hour to 2 hours, depending. They won't be full-length sessions, they will be shorter, because we don't have the full party, but they will have a decent amount of story in them. So
It is also a tabletop RPG, so it will get derailed at some point.
yes, it probably will. So yeah. Last we left off, in Isaac's memory, as it were, you had all just finished defeating an entire tavern full of bandits, including but not limited to a half-giant. And as you're all standing around bickering about what to do next, or at least the other three are, because Darren finally woke up from his sleep in the basement, right as a giant almost landed on top of him. It's a very strange sensation that you suddenly feel. And you reach into your pack and you pull out the purple and silver bound tome that the Elder Librarian gave you when you left Danis Eld. And you notice that it is glowing faintly. It is humming gently in your hand. And this tome is extraordinarily old, but you know it has magical properties at this point. That's been made pretty clear to you. As you open the tome, the humming noise increases, and you land at a nondescript page. But before you can react, you are suddenly catapulted into the tome. The tome seems to be drawing your very essence inside it. It is pulling your entire body away from this world. And for a moment, you sense nothing, and then in the distance you hear a thud as the tome falls to the ground and your pistol falls next to it.
I have a small question, sir.
Go for it.
Why is there still an Isaac at the bottom of the ocean?
Don't worry about it.
He's been there a few sessions. I'm starting to get worried about him.
Summon players to the board. When you open your eyes, you are in a world not like no other. Or rather, you are in not much of a world at all, to be honest.
I was gonna say, I'm really like how you're embracing the floating aesthetic.
Yes. You stand at the, what looks like the base steps of an old temple that seems to have been torn asunder by time and space. And next to you, in incredibly fanciful dress stands someone who looks incredibly bored. In fact, he looks so bored that he's actually half asleep. What do you do?
Probably going to dust himself down, check the pockets as usual, and as you would expect, note that the pistol gone. Guessing still got shield?
Still got shield, still got everything else. It seems that when you were sucked into the book, your pistol, which you were holding at the time, you dropped it in surprise. Something like that.
Okay. So he just sort of taps himself down, just like, okay, shield, products, okay, gold, boots, right, all right. Noticing the extremely bored one. Hello there.
What's happening?
Well, believe me, I'm much surprised to be here as you are.
Who are you? Who are you?
Isaac Garmick, cleric of Matano. I believe I've
Of
been
Matano?
eaten by a book.
Why? You're not supposed to be here.
Well, I grasped that bit, but I think I've been eaten by a book.
A book? That is a very strange way to die, young man.
Purple, big, bound one. The pages tend to sort of have obfuscated text until you touch a ring to them.
Don't describe your death to me, young man. I'm not the one who deals with these sorts of things.
Oh, dead again. Okay.
Just go on ahead. Go on ahead. And he sort of gestures onto the floating steps in front of you.
Just a small question. Is it a hopping situation, or is it more of a penitent man may walk situation?
A what?
Well, there's large gaps, and I was wondering about accessibility. That was
Don't fall in the gap.
Oh, right. Not that inclusive. Okay. And, yeah, takes a step forwards and just sort of starts judging the gap.
The gap is not as wide as the game would have you believe, basically.
Okay.
Just
Fair enough.
You can basically just walk up it,
Yeah,
unless
just
you
big step
do really badly on a dexterity skill check.
How do you dex save for basic walking?
What's that fucking Hero Quest video of, like, rolling to move? Will I trip on a flagstone or leap heroically into battle? I'm choosing to skip my way up here. If you need me to roll anything, let me know, but otherwise, let's skip the stairs.
I don't need you to roll anything. It's just a set of stairs.
It's a set of fucking
I'm not
stairs,
gonna
Ed.
kill you on a set of stairs, Ed.
Look,
That would
I've
be
been
so
afraid of dying on a
anticlimactic.
staircase since the session 1.
Look, if you ever choose to actually do something ridiculous on a staircase,
I had a fight
then
on a
I might
staircase
make you
last
roll
session.
for it. Oh. Anyway, as you near the top of the staircase, you actually recognize a familiar face floating above the ground in front of you. The face. I can't remember her name.
Mildred.
Mildred, thank you. I have so many notes at this point, it's a little unorganized.
It's okay.
Of Mildred Delamain. And she floats nearby, not, in fact, tethered to your hand.
Hang on a minute. Adventurer's Codex has locked me out for some reason. Which means I've lost my notes now. Okay, I'm back. Upon seeing just, oh, Mildred, good to see you in the, whatever we are.
In the ether, my friend?
Well, it's been a long time since the old guild initiation. So I haven't visited the spirit realm in quite a while. And even then it was only for about, what, 10 seconds? The time's a bit strange here, I understand.
Yes, well, time spent here is certainly longer than one would expect.
Yeah, that about sums it up. You wouldn't happen to know how I ended up here, other than I mean, I don't know how much you can see when I'm up there, but Big Purple Book seems to have eaten me. I'm not exactly sure.
I'm afraid whatever caused your arrival here is unknown to me, my friend. You have to understand, I am only so bound to your realm. I can only visit in sparing amounts.
Completely understand, and thank you for the assist when it came to the bandit lads earlier.
Yes. Mildred seems a little confused as to how you're here. All things considered, this isn't really a place for mortals.
Yeah, no, don't worry. He's a kindred on that one, but just kind of rolling with it.
Mildred sort of waves you on and says, the master of this house should be up ahead if you are able to find your way back, as you don't seem particularly, She gestures to you and goes,
Dead?
dead.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Which is always a refreshing consequence of getting eaten by a book. Always nice to wake up and know you're not dead. So, just before I move on, do you... I don't want to tread on any social landmines. Do you live here? Were you pulled with me?
This is a resting point between the worlds. The resting point between the endless void and the world of the living. It is... how would you put it? Bureaucracy, I think.
No, I'm quite familiar with that. Thanks for the heads up. Okay. Like, sort of cracks the shoulders back. Gotta get my paperwork fingers on. Okay. Well, let's not keep the bureau waiting, should we?
I suppose. Before you stands a metal door.
Oh, right, okay.
The door...
Don't stand on the door.
The door itself, it seems a little bit odd, considering that there are no walls behind it, and you can see the stairs on either side. Theoretically, you could just walk around it.
Yeah, but that'd be impolite.
Do you knock on the door?
Yes.
The door... oh boy, oh boy. The door swings open on its own.
Thank you.
After you knock. And
Just
it swings shut with a
walking
clang.
through, mutters to himself, "What do you think I am? Some kind of barbarian?"
Oh, God. It swings shut with a clang behind you, even though there is nothing for it actually to clang on.
The door frame?
There is no door frame. It is just
right, okay.
a door.
It's just a door.
It is just a door. You enter into a long hall.
I was right. You've spelled my name wrong.
Have I?
Sorry, I've been digging around and trying to find my backstory. Yeah, there's no H. That was all.
Oh.
You gaslit me into thinking I didn't know my own character.
So I have. I'm terribly sorry, Ed.
That's all right. I was sitting here for like the first 5 minutes going, is that? Oh, I don't.
That's not right. That is it? No.
Am I me? Who's?
Am I my own character?
Am I my own grandpa?
Sorry.
That's all right.
Oh,
It's better than the one sitting in the ocean. This is like an in space with Markiplier situation. There's just going to be an endless horde of alternate Isaacs.
As you enter into the this long hall, all of the marble and stuff that you're seeing here looks like it's been hewn from your world, but transported here for some reason. And this particular room looks like it is the library of some ancient temple at this point. There are shelves with various artifacts Not that many, though. There's a rather large chest. There's a coffin at the top of one of the shelves. On another shelf, there is a cauldron, and nestled in a corner, there is an egg. But there doesn't seem to be much else of consequence. A couple of people are actually milling around in the area. But they don't seem to be particularly interested in you at the moment.
Okay. Do either of them look especially more friendly than the other one?
There is a gnome who looks particularly engaged with the base of one of the pillars. And there is an elderly wizard who is frantically jumping, trying to get to a box.
Is there, like, would it be a perception or a history or something to check if that's the wizard that blew up?
You could roll me perception to see if you can find out.
Never remember where they keep the skills on this one. It's in skills, Ed. Okay. Oh, fuck it, I'll use the blue ones this time. I'm dead anyway, so makes sense. Uh, 16 plus 3 for a 19 tote.
The wizard is not, in fact, the one that blew up.
Nice.
He is wearing blue robes, and is wielding a very, very long staff with a hooked end. He is also wearing a rather large, floppy-brimmed hat.
Mm-hmm.
You do not recognize him right off the bat.
I'm going to... sorry, gotta get to the notes section of Adventurer's Codex. He's just gonna pause for a second and... residents of... Afterlife Junction. And just quickly note, like a... Not a sketch, but, you know, like a written descriptor sketch of the gnome and the wizard. So, small gnome. You've described the wizard. What does the gnome look like?
The gnome looks like a tinkerer. He has a tool belt covered in various bits and pieces. He's wearing several monocles somehow, and he's got a mechanical arm.
Neck, arm, and large tool belt. Okay. And add that. Snap the notebook shut again. And just, right, you two seem rather busy, so I'll just, scoot on by.
As you approach the end of this long hall, before you stands a rather imposing figure with a great longsword held in one hand. You can't really tell what race they are, but you can tell that they don't seem best pleased about your arrival.
Sorry, chewing some chili.
I could go for some chili.
In which case, upon seeing that they don't want me to be here, just, oh, marvelous. You look as grumpy to be here as I do. Hello. I take it I'm supposed to be meeting some lord of the house, possibly with a view to being directed to the exit.
There is no exit, and that's
certainly
the
an entrance.
problem. Every time one of you spirits manages to get through to this particular house, what exactly did you do in life to require you to come here?
Well, I think still living it is the problem.
Still living? That's
Yeah,
the
that's
funniest
exactly
thing
the
I've
problem.
heard all day.
Well, I just finished fighting a tavern full of bandits alongside my party of compatriots. The book in my backpack that I got from the elder librarian of Danis Eld started glowing. I opened it up on a nondescript page and was pulled inside, and now I'm here. Books don't tend to be insta-kills, just from experience. So I'm guessing it's more of a either I'm here to speak to someone for a purpose or an accidental misfiling situation.
The guard, you assume he is a guard at this point, sort of brings his hand to his face and sort of rubs his eyebrows for a moment and then goes, "All right, follow me." And he turns and starts leading you down the pathway.
On the way, am I allowed to sort of just basically
Yeah.
apologize for the situation and say just like,
Yeah,
"Look,
yeah.
I understand you're probably not too happy with my sword being here, and completely understand where you're coming from. What's your name, bud?"
I am Guldrel, guardian of this house. And
Nice to meet
he
you,
sort of
Goldrow.
waves, he sort of holds out his hand for a moment and says, "Wait here."
Will do.
God, there we go.
No, it is, as you turn the camera, like, it flips the directions, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. Guldrel sort of speaks to what looks to be a seraphim, or a seraph guard, who stands at the top of the staircase. But as you look past him, you notice two figures standing at the bottom of the stairs.
Could I
one,
just quickly ask you to just quickly spell out what Goldrel was, like, name-wise?
Guldrel, so Galdrel.
Yeah. Thank you.
At the bottom of the stairs stands a pair of elderly-looking individuals, one in incredibly bright colors and the other in muted tones of blue and black, with robes tied in sashes of gold. They seem to be in deep discussion about something. The first figure sort of is waving his hand dismissively, but the second, it seems to be doubling down on whatever argument they're having. Guldrel finishes speaking to the seraph, and the seraph sort of turns and walks down the stairs to stand next to the elder figure in red, in the bright colors.
Thanks, Goldrel.
For a moment, the seraph leans down to whisper in the first figure's ear, and the figure glances back at you, and for a moment, just for a moment, you feel like the world is slowly unraveling around you. And then the figure looks away again, and everything falls back into place.
Okay.
The figure sort of waves his hand again at the elder in the middle, and then
I lost you for a sec there. I got the figures. Pause.
The figure in red sort of waves his hand again at the figure in black, and then for a second vanishes, and then the seraph vanishes as well. Just pops out of existence as if they were never there in the first place. Guldrel turns to you and goes, "You may speak to the master of the house now, or you may speak to them anyway." And he sort of walks off.
Thank you, Goldrel. Nice knowing you.
And Guldrel just grunts as he walks away.
makes his way down and addresses the black figure. Greetings, Lord of the House. Afraid I wasn't given a name.
Lord. What a funny title. No, I'm not the Lord of the House. Well, I am no one's lord, to be quite honest. The man in front of you is old. In fact, older than you think is really possible. His cheeks are hollowed, his eyes sunken. He wears an eye patch, and his fingers are wrinkled and gnarled, and it looks like at this point he may have some form of arthritis. He's wearing heavy robes, but it doesn't belie the skeletalness of his figure. And he carries a small tome and a couple of vials on his belt. And in his hand is a staff, a long wooden staff with a twinkling gem on the top of it. And he goes, I am simply a servant in this house.
My apologies for the mistitling. Although, you do seem to have a grander position than I do in this place, that's for sure.
I am old, my friend, that is all. I am old and withered and respected, but that is all.
You're only as old as you feel.
What can I do for you?
Well, as I was explaining to Galdrell back there, I think, and I understand from where we are, that this is a storyline that's going to be played out a lot by the souls that arrive, but I think I've been a victim of a filing error of some form, because...
A filing error?
Well, that's the only way I could think to describe it. Sorry, I'm Cleric of Matano, I'm kind of used to bureaucracy and the terminology that comes with.
At the mention of Matano's name, the old man sort of steps back in surprise and goes, Cleric of Matano? There aren't many of you left anymore.
That raises a new question. Apologies if the cause is a tangent. When is now?
When is now? When? Time in this place is always in flux.
Fair. It's just you said not many of us left anymore, which would imply there isn't any more that you're using as a point of reference, that was all.
From your time, I would say now is now when you left, but whenever you go back is unknowable, at least for now.
Fair enough. Yep, that would check out. Okay. But yeah, back on track. Last I remember, just had finished clearing out a bar full of bandits with my adventuring compatriots, as I was saying to your friend Galdrell back there. And then the book from in my pack, which I'd got from the Elder Librarian and Danis Eld, started glowing.
This book,
probably a stupid idea. I opened it. It was quite a large bound tome, a lot of purple accents on it, and had a particular fascination with one page where the text tended to obfuscate unless I touched it with a specific signet ring, in which case my hand went through the book. Really not sure what was happening there, so I just chose to kind of ignore it and move on.
No. Valis told me he'd had it destroyed. How did it end up in your hands? Ugh, you must be full of questions. I'm sorry about this.
No, I completely understand. Look, there's a lot of paperwork with the chapter of the hunt. I understand errors happen all the time. If it's any help, the ring that I got that seemed to interact with it a lot was from, I'm probably going to butcher the name again, Dernar Velktor's vault, First Lord of the Hunt. And the book, as I said, was from the Danis Eld Library.
Oh, goodness, it's been a very long time since I walked the mortal planes. Not very familiar with all that anymore. How to explain this? The book
At least you're
found,
accepting I'm alive. Most people here think I'm dead.
I can tell the difference between a living person and a dead spirit very easily, my friend.
Marvelous.
It is something of a gift, shall we say. At any rate, the book you found is called the World Tome, and it
Do you
is
mind
a
if I write this
creation.
down as you go?
Of course, of course. It is a creation of. Oh, I don't remember. I think it was Callist who made it as a joke, but it was given to humanity eons ago. I am surprised that it still exists. I was told it had been destroyed, but apparently not. The World Tome acts as a gateway of sorts to the realm of the one to whom the soul is closest, if you will. It is difficult to describe, and it will only work for one person at a time. I would bid you to not use it often, as it
Realized I
is
was using it to begin with.
dangerous in many situations.
So generally, if it starts glowing, don't open it. Gotcha.
It glowed? That is strange.
Yeah, that was pretty much what brought my attention to it to begin with. I'm not exactly one for opening ancient, possibly magical, in fact proven magical, the whole obfuscated text, without cause, and then when a book starts glowing so bright that you notice it in your pack that's behind you, it kind of draws attention.
Yes, I suppose that is true. Oh, dearie me.
Maybe something wanted me here, I don't know.
Something or someone. Oh. I apologize. I haven't even introduced myself. I am Onatem. I am an elder of this place, shall we say.
Oh, very nice to meet you, Onatem. Isaac Galmek.
Yes. I know who you are. It's, these days, it's not hard to figure out. I'm sorry. I'm being rude. I'm assuming
Honestly,
that
one of the most polite people since I've arrived. The guy at the door was pretty sleepy, to be honest.
Well, Valdemir is not known for his alertness these days. It has been a few centuries since I hired him.
Completely understand. You can't let them go because they've been with the company far too long, but at the same time, they can get a little bit complacent in the job, shall we say.
Oh, well, yes, I suppose that is true. He seems a little confused by your terminology, but other than that, nothing particularly strange. Onatem sort of flips through the book that he pulls from his belt and goes, I would assume that you want to return to the living world at some point soon. This realm doesn't offer much in the way of comforts for the living.
As soon as possible, however, that's organized. I've got let's see, Mildred is hanging out back there. I've got to deliver her to a witch in the north. There's a barbarian I need to practically babysit. I think a giant, not sure really, might have fallen on our resident dwarf. And also, there's the whole business of trying to find my... sorry, sensitive topic. Trying to ascertain what's happened to my daughter. I think that her aunt is not behaving herself.
Yes. The Onatem sort of flips through the book for a little bit and then goes, aunt, you said?
Yes, Linnell.
Linnell Galnek.
Probably wouldn't be Galmek.
Linnell?
I married her sister.
I see. Linnell. Yes. Linnell de Trova.
That would be it, yeah.
That is... You say she's not behaving herself? That is odd.
I'm
She's
basing
been
it on the...
dead for 5 years.
5 years?
But according to the records, yes.
Interesting, so... Okay. Apologies on this one. So, what you're telling me is 5 years ago she died. Except the fact that I spoke to her, or someone I was told was her, was introduced to as her, ran the house as her, 4 years ago before I joined the church.
Well, that is strange, my friend, but
Indeed.
no. According to these records, Linnell de Trova died 5 years ago. She was, poisoned.
Was about to ask if she'd been murdered. Thank you very much. On the time, you've given me a lot of questions to have, and also you've cleared up a lot of possible social faux pas in the act of asking them.
Yes, well, I do apologize for all of this.
No, not at all.
I will have to
Always
speak
happy to get a lead.
to Valis about that book. In the meantime, I would ask you to keep it safe. There is, well, now that it is bound to you, it will act as a portal to this place for as long as you live. Or as long as you maintain ownership over the book.
Understood.
I would ask you that if you do plan to visit, to use it sparingly. It is, well, it takes more energy to send you back than to bring you here.
Figured as much by the fact that you're the first person who actually knew there was a way back. One small question, just so that I understand the rules of engagement that we're going into. In terms of book ownership, is that a case of it's transferred when I give away the book willingly, or is it a case of whoever holds it at such time? Magical artifacts tend to have varying rules.
The book will believe its ownership. It is complicated. The book has a degree of sapience, if you will. It knows who owns it. But if that owner dies, then it will choose a new owner from the people in its proximity. Usually the person touching it, but not always. It is difficult. If you wish to give it away, it must be done so willingly.
All right, okay. It's just always important to check in on those things. You know how pickpockets can be.
Not really, no.
Fair enough. Well, you've lived a good life then. Or whatever passes for you. I'm not going to assume your state of life.
My state of life is infinite, my friend.
You're doing better than the rest of us then. Yeah, got any secrets on that one? I could do with a bit of a facelift myself.
I'm afraid that any secrets I might impart, you would have to take to your grave.
Apparently I'm taking quite a lot already, including this book.
Yes, I suppose. Onatem seems pleased by your willingness to actually sort of talk without arguing, and just having a conversation.
Honestly, given Gilk's presence in the party, Isaac's happy for a conversation too. It doesn't involve bashing things.
Unatem sort of waves his hand and goes, at any rate, we should probably see about sending you back. And he sort of turns towards sort of a laboratory area and beckons for you to follow him.
Also, Lucian, I'm going to have to ask at some point if you could beam me over the synopsis on the book again. I did type it down, but then stupidly, because the Venturer's Codex insists that you press save before moving on to a different part of the exact same notebook, for some reason, it deleted everything I wrote.
Yeah, sure, I will do that.
Just after session should be fine.
Yep, that's fine. Okay, so Onotem sort of meanders his way over to a table covered in different trinkets, including, but not limited to, a staff, which you happen to recognize.
And I'm staying well away from.
Yes, indeed. Onotem flips through a book for a moment and pulls a couple of powders from different shelves, as well as some various different liquids, and starts mixing them all together. And while he does so, he says, well, Isaac, do you have any other questions that I might answer while you're here?
Yeah. No, I didn't want... sorry. Are you able to... You were able to tell me that Linnell's obviously passed on, and that's fine and dandy. If anything, that's actually helpful. But are you able to tell whether the spirits of those who've moved on beyond this kind of junction, if they're happy? One spirit in particular.
Happiness is a... How to describe this? The human soul and the human body are intertwined, and they experience emotions together. Happiness is something that is brought on by the body and affects the soul. So it is difficult to tell whether a spirit is happy in the same way that a human would be happy.
But what about is there a spiritual equivalent of happy when the spirit is disconnected from the body and so far as being dead?
There is a spiritual equivalent of content.
That'll do.
But it really depends on where they end up. There is an infinite number of places in the endless void where a spirit may lay their home. Some have chosen a dark pit of despair to atone for their own sins. Others choose a light. It is difficult to explain these concepts to...
No, it's fine. It's completely fine. I don't seek to understand the infinite.
For what it's worth, my friend, and I assume that you are speaking of Deirdre.
No, I think you might have the filing wrong. It's Lucille.
Really? That is... Hold on. And he checks his book. He goes, yes, no, you are correct.
There was another Isaac in the guild, so it's probably got a bit confused somewhere along the way.
Yes, you are correct. My apologies, young man.
No, it's fine. We get confused all the time. That's why I grew the beard in the first place.
Yes. Lucille is quite well. She is... Well, she is... Content would be the appropriate word.
That's enough for me.
But I'm afraid that if you wish to visit, that will be another matter entirely, and you may not come back.
I would never... I would never seek to intrude on somewhere she's chosen to be. When it's my time, I'll probably put in the choice to be with her if I can, and then that's going to be down to her. She was a strong woman. She can always make her own decisions.
Onatem sort of continues mixing and nods sagely and says, "You are wise for such a young man."
Human lifespan. Wouldn't call myself that young. Although, speaking of lifespan, one last question. Have seen that, and points at the stick, a couple of times in said lifespan thus far, in the mortal realm, and it seems to keep beating up my compatriots.
For a moment, Onatem stills, and then he throws his head back in laughter and goes, "Oh, God, that." And he sort of gestures to the staff and goes, "That is an ancient and cursed artifact. Though not cursed in the traditional sense. That artifact was made long ago by a druid named Vodok Moj. The most annoying soul I have ever seen pass through this place." And he goes, "I had to confiscate that staff from him. Because he wouldn't stop hitting all of the different people behind the filing desks because he refused to move on. Eventually, I actually had to seal his soul inside the staff. I didn't realize that it had managed to escape this realm." You see,
it's only in passing. Last time I saw it, it was connecting rather speedily with my head having been lobbed by the barbarian in the actual vault of. Again, I'm gonna butcher Danar.
Valktor.
Yeah,
Danar
Valktor. It's what the ones with the apostrophe. I'm sorry. I know it probably sounds culturist to not be able to manage it, but I just can't.
Mitano. Onatem. Blah. Words. Yes. Onatem
they're anagrams, so it's fine.
Yes. Onatem sort of gestures to the staff and goes, "This one here is actually simply the soul of the staff. The one you have seen out there in the world is the physical manifestation of it. I should warn you that picking it up will induce various states of rage, but...
Oh, I'm familiar. That's why it connected with me.
Should you be able to tame it, it may prove to be of use."
I think that's going to take us... the only person I can think of in our party dumb enough to pick up a obviously cursed artifact would be the barbarian, and I don't think he's got the willpower to overpower something made by... shall we say an irate druid?
Irate would be an understatement, my friend. Vodok Moj was the most brash, uncouth, rude gnome I have ever met.
Marvelous.
And I am sad to say that I doubt we will see his like ever again. As he says this, Onatem finishes grinding up a powder mixture and sort of chucks it into this boiling liquid that is now in front of him. The liquid is in a bowl, and there is no source of flames anywhere around here, but it is still somehow boiling.
It's Spirit Realm. Isaac's chill with this. Just while we're waiting on the boil, I did have one quick question. You reacted when I said I was a cleric of Mitano. Are the other clerics of the other gods unwelcome here, or is it more of a, like, wasn't expecting clerics to be here situation?
It is difficult to explain. Clerics of other gods usually end up in the realms of other gods. You see, it is not an infinite servitude situation, if you will. It is simply that is where they usually choose to go.
Of course. Well, we've got a giant hourglass. I couldn't help but notice the large hourglass in the centerpiece, so this felt like a rather Metano-themed area, which would make sense.
Metano's throne is here. This is also the meeting place for the gods as well. But there is... How to describe this? Each god has their own realm, their own sanctum, if you will, and this is Metano's. Though Metano does not frequent it often. It is rare for them to appear in this particular realm. They prefer spending their time in the Endless. It is strange when they visit.
I wish I think it's quite a comfort just staying out in the Endless. If they should appear again, though, would you... obviously don't have to go into the specifics of however I got here or anything, but just pass on my thanks if that's alright. You guys have been nothing but helpful.
I will do so. I will do so, my friend. Though I will
And be
warn
sure to
you.
give yourself the commendation as well.
I will warn you. Other gods are less kind to intrusions in their sanctums. If you find yourself in... Well, which one to warn you of? Really,
Our barbarians
I should
already
warn you...
fallen afoul of the Chaos one a couple of times.
Oh, Valis. Yes, well. Valis is more mischievous than anything else. He probably...
Yeah, we figured that out when a cow exploded.
Well, yes, that... I actually saw that cow's soul not too long ago.
Well, now you know where it came from. You didn't happen to see a dragon come through as well, did you?
Dragons are a very different situation. Dragons are not... Dragons do not die in the traditional sense.
Ah, right. Do they become bound to a place, maybe, or...?
Dragons are the manifestation of Benor. They are creations from his own soul. They are shreds of godhood, if you will.
Wow.
It is difficult to describe. Imagine, if you will, you took a book and you tore out a page from that book, and you folded that page into a boat, if you will. Mm-hmm. That page is still part of that book, but it is no longer within that book.
Yeah.
And even if you were to unfold it from being a boat and put it back in the book, it would never fit quite right again.
Yeah,
because it has been something else. Yep. That is what dragons are. They are pieces of Benor's soul that have been torn from it and reshaped. It is, well, it is difficult to describe.
Oh, that's more than enough description. The only reason I was asking was we've got a dwarf with us who's very, very, very concerned about dragons.
Really? That is?
Well, to the extent that we found one of the... I don't know if you are familiar with them on the mortal plane, but occasionally there's dragon summoning sites, and there are chairs to
Benor's gateways. Yes,
Benor gateways,
I am
exactly.
familiar with them.
He might have sat at one of them, and a dragon's soul, thankfully not a full dragon, decided to manifest and menace us for a while. We had to, in the end, convince it was dead and remind it of when we were, comparative to when it thought we were. And it seemed to go to rest, so I was interested where it might have gone. But I guess it's still stuck there. That's a nasty image.
Dragons... Technically, a dragon can come back. It requires an immense amount of energy, because now they are, well, the ones that are not still living, they are simply reflections of what they used to be. They are wisps, former memories of the great beasts they once were.
Fascinating.
But you are correct. That dragon's soul is probably still trapped in those ruins. It is doubtful that it will ever leave.
Well, I think you've made my dwarf friend very happy to learn some more about dragonkind.
Yes, well. As you say that, the bowl finishes boiling, and there's a little popping sound as Onatem uncorks a small vial from his belt and pours a drop of glowing blue liquid into the bowl. For a moment, nothing happens, and then the entire room around you shakes, and then is still again. The liquid in front of you, in front of Onatem and you, has turned a crystalline white, almost reflective. And while you are aware that it is a liquid, it looks as if it is completely flat, as if it is a mirror.
I take it from the rumblings that it's probably getting time to go home.
Yes. I thank you for the conversation. It is rare that I get to speak to someone like this in this place.
Thank you for the consideration to actually hear me out and let me speak.
Yes.
Doesn't happen a lot on the surface realm anymore.
One more thing before you go.
I
The
had a
ring
question for you as well, so no problem, we'll trade.
that you have in your pocket. I understand that the World Tome will not have informed you of what it actually is.
It's a book. It would be rather difficult for it to let me know what it is, especially when it's in a language I don't seem to be able to read.
Yes. The ring is dangerous. Every artifact that was crafted by the gods is dangerous, but the ring is much more so. It was crafted by Invict, and it is called the Ring of Seven Sins. If you find the gemstones that are meant to impose, or meant to be inside it, be cautious. They are very dangerous, and I would hesitate to allow them to fall into the wrong hands.
Just finishes scribbling this down. So, one small question. Would they happen to be powerful by themselves, or would they require the ring as a focusing agent?
Each gemstone is powerful on its own. Each has a very different effect. Combined with the ring, it is very, very powerful indeed.
Right. Okay. Keep stones of infinite power away from anybody else. Gotcha. Regards, if it's possible to ask one last... It's a minor question, and you don't even have to answer it. I'm aware I've run out my time. The figure you were chatting with seemed to be backed up by the Seraph before I arrived. I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but they glanced at me for a moment, and the world wobbled. it seemed to unravel for a second, so they're clearly someone important around these parts. I was just wondering if you'd be able to let a man know who. Didn't want to have offended them.
Yes, well, I'm sure that Valis hasn't been offended by you at all.
That's Valis, right. Okay.
Yes. Although that is Valis in a less imposing form. Gods
A
have
Valis,
a tendency to dramatize their existence.
Well. Alright. Red figure was Valis. Thank you very much. If I see such a red figure again, I'll know to I'll know to probably not mention the whole book that was destroyed but wasn't destroyed business. Don't want to embarrass them.
Onatam sort of laughs, more to himself than to you, and goes, I believe that it is time for you to head back to the realm of the living. A small piece of advice before you leave, though.
Mm-hmm.
Do try not to die anytime soon. It would mess with the scheduling.
Well, as you would understand from what I've been describing, I don't plan on it anytime soon. I've, if you'll pardon me being frank for a second, sir, I've got shit to do.
Onatem sort of laughs again and hands you the bowl and says, safe journey. And then he sort of walks off.
Goodbye, Onatem. Wait until he's decently away from me and then just looking at the bowl. Right, now what the fuck to do with this? Just lightly prod it with a finger.
As you touch the glacial surface of the liquid in the bowl, it seems to react to your touch. It feels slightly sticky, and as your finger prods it, it latches on and slowly starts crawling up your arm.
Oh, that's better.
It takes a moment, but suddenly you are encased in this glowing blue liquid, and for a second,
I'm going to make sure to hold on to all my shit this time.
Yeah, for a second, the world sort of glows in white. And then you smell hay and horse shit.
Nice.
And that concludes our little one-shot. Yeah. Nice.
Okay. We didn't have to start early in the first place.
No, we didn't. Admittedly, I was sort of expecting it to last longer and have more technical difficulties than we did.
No,
but
yeah, it's kind of impressive. That's actually amazing.
There we go. I hope you enjoyed your little venture into Matano's sanctum.
No, absolutely.
So yeah.
It was nice getting to know everybody.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that concludes our little one shot.
I hope
I'm
Galdrell
going to...
finds some job satisfaction soon.
That man has been there for over 4 centuries. I don't think he's gonna.
No, but it just depends. Maybe next time I'll bring him a present.
Yes. But yeah, I'm gonna throw you 50 XP for this.
I'm confused. No one cast a fireball.
And
I'm a cleric. I can't even cast fireball, even if I wanted to. Also, why the hell? I like side note, but I do love that. It seems almost every resident was expecting me to argue with them.
I mean, the thing is, like, at the end of the day, you are in the sanctum of, like, the dead.
Yeah.
And the dead usually don't want to be dead.
Yeah.
So
they clearly don't get many clerics through here. We hang out with them all the time.
Yeah. But yeah.
Right. So 50 XP, you said, yeah?
50 XP. And a very quick summary of the way the world tome works.
Hang on. I've forgotten where I put my XP. Oh, the XP goes in Adventurous Codex, yeah.
Yeah.
Problem with being split between two things.
Mm-hmm.
That's the section for it. And bump that up. Thank you. And I'll pop open the notes section again.
Okay.
Book
So,
of the World.
the World Tome.
Gotcha.
So the way the World Tome works is, if you die, it will choose a new owner. But in order for you to, in order for it to pick a new owner while you are still alive, you need to willingly give it away. And
Oh, I've got to give it away, yeah.
there are two functions to the World Tome. One is it acts as a portal to the realm of the god who the person's soul is closest to. So in this case, Metano. You are a cleric of Metano. Your soul is closest to Metano at the end.
If I gave it to a Valdis one, they go to a Valdis one.
Yes. Although, in fairness, if you gave the book to someone who does not ascribe to any god, it would align with the god that is closest to their personality. So, you say you give it to a toddler, it'd probably align with Valis. Because chaos and mischief, basically.
Yeah.
However, the book has a second function. The book acts as a bag of holding, technically speaking. And it acts as a bag of holding specifically for items that are God-made. So items that are designed or built by the gods. So, for example, the Ring of Seven Sins, the spell of concentrification, a variety of other different things that I won't go into. But basically, you can safely store any item that was crafted by a god inside the book.
Any god-crafted item inside the book? Yeah.
Yeah.
Question, does
Go
that
for it.
does that item then basically poof into existence here, or does it store in the book as the book having its own separate plane from here, which is separate from the one it gates to?
You see those shelves?
Yeah.
That's where it goes.
Okay, gotcha.
Those, it'll go to the shelves in the sanctum of the god.
I figured that bit, yeah.
Yeah, basically. Each god's sanctum has an archive where the item will end up. And in Metano's one, there are a few. Now, I should point out that the book, before you entered it, was not attuned to you. At this point, it will be. So now, any item that you put in it will end up on Metano's shelves. If you'd put an item in it before, it would have just disappeared and gone to a random god's shelves. Well, actually, in that case, it
we
would
could
have
have sent
gone...
the god's spam mail.
Yes, it would have gone to Callist's shelf specifically in that instance, but, you know. But yeah. That concludes the session for today. I'm actually going to throw you...
we can't put in a requisition order for things that are already in here because they weren't attuned to me. Like, I can't requisition whatever this cauldron is that's up there, or...
Technically, you can. Technically, you can pull it out of the book.
But why would I want to if I know nothing about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
Like, you could pull it out of the book. You don't know what it'd do.
Yeah.
You could pull the entire coffin out of the book,
In
but
a
you
Hail
don't know
Mary
what's inside
situation,
it.
I may at one point need a cauldron that has consequences. Gotcha.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go. So yeah. But yeah, no. You can basically return to this realm at any time. But sending you back takes a lot of energy, basically.
Yeah.
And because of that, Onotem has warned you, do so sparingly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one shouldn't take too many trips to the plot explanation dimension.
Yeah. It's not so much the plot explanation dimension as it is a god's home. So...
True,
yeah.
I just meant narratively, like, place where there are higher beings you can ask shit, store shit, whatnot, probably shouldn't be abused.
Yeah, probably not. Lydia says store Darren in the cauldron.
But apparently we need to store Darren inside Benor's soul for a bit and then rip him back out of it so he becomes a dragon.
I mean, that is not impossible, but it's probably not a good
Healthy.
idea. No. Read the quote me? Where is the quote me? Did I miss a quote me?
There's a quote me that says "re" apparently.
Oh, I see.
I mean, I'm guessing that's what the "read the quote me re" means.
I suppose. Confused. Anyway, yeah, that concludes today's little one shot.
Oh, I've got you. Hang on. It was way back up. I've discorded it you.
Oh, give me a second. I'm sorry. Wait, what? How do I pronounce that? Glob.
Glob, gab, glab.
Isn't that from? That's from something, but I can't remember what it is. I am the glab, glab, and I love books. And this basement is a treasure trove. It is indeed a treasure trove.
Also, thank you. That's what this is officially to me now. This is Matano's basement.
This is Matano's basement. I mean, technically it's Matano's sanctum, or the afterlife crossroads, as you
it's the
aptly
basement now.
named it. But yeah, you can call it Matano's basement. That is technically true.
Well,
the
that's
great
a good name for it in the
hourglass and
overworld if
everything.
no one knows what I mean. The
Yeah.
basement.
That's true. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So 50 XP for the session as a whole. I'm gonna give you another 15 XP for trying to be friendly with all the spirits here.
Okay, hang on. 15 XP. Nice. Well,
Yeah.
If it's any help, Isaac's general outlook when it comes to stupid, well, not stupid in that sense, but bizarre and out there, stupid comparative to real life situations like this. It's more just like, well, you're not going to get out of here by being a Karen about it.
That is fair. But yeah, that concludes today's stream. Thank you all very much for joining us. I will be back later on today, around about 9 o'clock this evening, for an actual full stream. But today we did a little one-shot side quest session for some extra stuff that Isaac would have missed in the last session. Thank you all very much for joining us today, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed this little bit of story time. And yeah, we shall see you all this evening for maybe some Wildermyth. Now, I've been meaning to get to that, and I keep getting delayed by other stuff. So yeah, maybe some Wildermyth. We'll see. Thank you all very much for joining us. And yeah, we shall see you all tonight. Goodbye, everybody.